right, everyone, welcome to the Soulscast episode 12. What did I title this? I think I titled this Artorias of the Abyss, but it could be also called Prepare to Die, or it could be called Dark Souls DLC Discussion. Yeah, so this episode of the Soulscast, which is episode 12, is going to be all about Dark Souls DLC. I'm your host, Adam Blue, and then your other host, Shane Norton, having pizza and beer, which is great. It's a great combination. I really just have a water, which I'm like taking after you from the first few casts. You always had your water. No, but how was your weekend? As you chug a beer.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's actually my last weekend I have off. I'm starting a new job this upcoming weekend, which is a Saturday through Monday shift, 12-hour days. So I don't have weekends anymore. I will have Tuesday through Friday off every week, which is really cool. Okay. So it was my last weekend, but we didn't really do much. I went to my parents' house, went to my in-laws' house, and that's about it. But it was good. It was fun.
Okay. Well, did you get any gaming in?
Oh yeah, I did. We played. My wife and I played Arkham Knight. At least one of those nights, Friday night or Saturday night, and otherwise I just played. Sorry, I'm gonna stop eating pizza soon. I
either way, I'm eating through you right now. I can at least.
Oh, all right, perfect.
I can at least feel like I'm eating pizza.
I'm gonna I'll hold it right up in front of my face, and I played Lords of the Fallen and Dark Souls 2, and I'm pretty sure that's all I played over the weekend.
Okay, you liking Lords of the Fallen?
Yes. When I first played it, the first couple hours, I really liked it, and then I've been hitting a snag where I just beat the third boss like a couple nights ago, and the area after it, originally I thought was the area I was supposed to go to, and I was getting slaughtered. There was enemies that were killing me in 3 hits. You know, they were harder than the boss I just fought. They had more not more health, but they hurt me more. Their attack damage, and it was like this really hard area. And I was like, oh man, I was almost ready to stop playing the game. But it turns out I'm not in the right area. I should have gone to a different area that is like the next part of the game. The area I went to was like a later on in the game area, so I'm pretty happy about that because I was getting very frustrated.
Yeah, so from what I've played, it does seem like that the game really wants you to go to specific areas. There's not that much openness to it, even though it seems to be on a path, you know, instead of a hub world. But yeah, it does seem like the game really wants you to go in a specific order. Because I beat the second boss, I came across an area that was way too difficult, so I just turned it around. But anything else you've been playing?
I started Tales of the Abyss on my 3DS. I think on Friday, which is one of the Tales games, like Tales of Destiny, Tales of Symphonia. You know, all those games.
Never played any.
I started that on my 3DS. I only played Tales of Destiny for the PlayStation, and that was a long time ago when I was probably still in high school. It was a lot of fun, and this game, like maybe 2 hours in, is a lot of fun as well. So I'll be playing that along with the other stuff I've been playing. But that's it. I haven't been playing anything else new.
Okay. For me, I'm playing Lords of the Fallen 2. I got past that second boss. I watched your video and kind of got an idea of what to do. So after the third attempt, I killed him, and it was actually by the third time I understood what to do. It seemed like it was just a lot of patience, really. And
I think you definitely need it for that game.
I think it creates an artificial difficulty because it seems to be more patience than a Souls game. At first, when you're playing a Souls game, it is about patience. But as you get better with Souls games, you find more opportunity to land hits earlier on and quicker. But with Lords of the Fallen, it really seems like just don't hit the boss. You can't. It has a giant shield, the size of your body, so you can't hit them. You just have to, So that, played one Chinabra, if I'm pronouncing that right. I like character action games, and that's what it is. It just has scantily clad women. It's pretty fun. The fighting system actually seems to be pretty deep, to the point to where I'm kind of confused at what to do and getting myself killed sometimes. So,
Yeah, I watched. I tried to get on one of your streams that you had a couple days ago, but it was like a really really short one. From what I saw, it did look pretty cool.
Yeah, I was actually testing out the YouTube live streaming because that's going to be a whole big thing, and it went pretty well. And then it becomes a video that someone can watch. So I thought that was pretty cool. Something I might use. I mean, Twitch is still the most popular, but anyway. I also got the order not last week, the weekend before, and I actually just beat it tonight. Very short game.
Oh, nice.
It's a very strange game because it's like almost doing cool things. It just never takes that next step. This is in regards to story, gameplay, mechanics. It's like as if it's like, okay, this is a mechanic we're introducing you to, or this story we're kind of going to go this way, and then it just stops. And it's like there was so much potential there. I really do think that it was like a tech engine. It was made to show off the graphics, as it is the best looking video game there is. Beside the fact that it's not running in, I don't think it's really 1080p. If it is, there is a slight blur put on everything.
Oh, okay.
Which has to be done. Playing Crysis 3 on my PC in 1080p. Things look so crisp, even when I would downsample, which you're actually creating higher resolutions. It looks so crisp that it just looks fake, and I think they wanted a cinematic look, so they blurred it a bit. But
did you have fun with it? Like, was it good enough to play?
When there were shooting sections that were fun. When there wasn't shooting sections, there was a lot of walking sections. I'm serious. It's just walk over here and pull this lever. But it's like as you walk, there's talking. So it's implementing story, but it just dragged. Although I beat it really quick. I mean, I probably sat down like 3 times.
Wow.
I mean, I rented it before and played it a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, let's get on with the show.
Let's do it.
First talking point. So, Dark Souls DLC. I wanted to touch on something you mentioned here, that when they originally announced Dark Souls, there wasn't going to be DLC.
Yeah, and I had remembered hearing that or reading that years ago, and I wanted to make sure I was correct, because sometimes I just remember, misremember something.
Sure.
But I checked on it today, and I found that's fine. I found an article from either IGN or GameSpot that said Gamescom from that year, which was 2011, so it was Gamescom in probably August of 2011. Yeah. I think this was 2 months before the game was released. They had said there was like some confusion about DLC. They said, no, we're not doing DLC. This is the complete game. It's shipping complete. We're not doing anything else. So, hearing that, I was like, well, that kind of sucks. Not that I was expecting it, because, Demon Souls didn't have it, and at the time it was only the second game, so I didn't know what they would be doing, how they would even do DLC.
Yeah.
I wasn't even big into DLC anyway, so I was like, whatever, I don't care. But then about a year after the game released, it was, I want to say like maybe September or October that it was released on consoles. They released the Artorias of the Abyss DLC, and they announced it probably much earlier in the year. I don't know where, but, and that was super exciting, because I said, we're not doing it, and then all of a sudden, we're doing it.
Yeah.
And that was great.
And what's interesting about this DLC, it's kind of funny that it's called DLC. It's really just the same as an expansion pack, Coming from a big PC gaming background, and it was so much easier to do this on PC, developers came out with expansion packs. Basically $15, $20, smaller bits of content, and it was worth your 15 or $20. You got some more levels. I remember this stuff from like Command and Conquer, especially. What they did here was they came out with the DLC you could buy for PS3 and Xbox 360, but then they also came out with the Prepare to Die edition on PC. So when the PC version came out, it was called Prepare to Die, and it had it included already. So for me, I beat the game on 360 first, mainly because I I have it on PC. I had it on PC, but I could not get the DS fix to work. This is this modder named Durante created this fix. Anyway, well, it's not that I didn't get it to work. I didn't get it to work how I wanted to.
Okay.
There would be some skipped frames if you had it at a certain resolution, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, I got it to work, and it was it was beautiful. So I'm like, okay, well, back in May, I beat Dark Souls in 360. July comes around, and while I'm trying to beat Demon Souls, I really just want to play Dark Souls. So I go through Dark Souls again on PC to do the DLC content. And I think, did I have anything else to say on that? Okay, so our time with it. So I beat it really quick, actually. I remember when I was kind of, since I'd already played Dark Souls, I would play it in small bursts because I was able to do things quickly. Like, if we were going to leave in a little bit to go to the mall or go hang out, with the kids and family, I would still jump on and play about 20 minutes because I know what I'm doing in Dark Souls. But when I knew I had to play the DLC, I was like, well, this is going to be my first time doing this. I'm going to wait till I have a few hours so I can actually sit down, and play it. So I finally got around to it, and then it actually took me maybe a week to beat it. And this is actually while playing other games. It went by pretty quick. It could be because I'm on this like Souls surge. I don't know what to call it. I've been playing so much Souls games that I'm already, and plus I think I was a bit over leveled. I tend to do that in Souls games unless people do that in general. I did the DLC after beating every boss except for the Four Kings. So, by then I just wanted to get some cool stuff for it. So, for me, maybe it was a total of 10 hours. But I know that a few of the hours was spent going back and forth with Manus and Calamite. Because those guys
I bet.
Yeah. Those guys are tough. And what about you?
Yeah. I spent at least 10 hours with it. I don't remember exactly because unfortunately, I only played it once. I played it when it came out. I played Dark Souls on PS3. And then I bought the DLC when it came out for the PS3. I believe it was $15, which is what I read today. So $15 for the DLC add-on. And I played it when it came out. And once I beat it, I have never touched it since, which I kind of regret because I really am dying to play through it again. So I put at least 10 hours into it, maybe a little more. I remember some areas really gave me a hard time, and some of the bosses really gave me a hard time.
Yeah.
I think I maybe had the opposite problem that you had. I don't know if I was over leveled. I was at least at a good level, but I think I was on my New Game Plus character, and I also hadn't played Dark Souls in a long time. I picked it up basically just to play the DLC, so I was pretty rusty with it in the first place. So those things kind of combined to make me very bad at the DLC, I'll say. But I still loved it, and it was awesome. It was really fun. The areas were great. The bosses, as we'll go through briefly, the bosses were great. And it's I haven't played much DLC besides the Souls games and some Borderlands DLC. But from my very limited DLC playing, it's the best DLC I've ever played.
Yeah, and you actually bring up a good point because it's like, so, you didn't, you got Dark Souls when it came out and you beat it. And so the developers wait for some time to then release the DLC. Yeah. And by then you might have moved on. In my case, I was already deep into Souls and I'm playing it. So it's interesting how they make it where to access the DLC, you have to get pretty far into the game, almost setting you up to get back into the groove of Dark Souls before you access the DLC. And it's actually like that with Dark Souls 2 as well. In order to access the DLC, you have to get pretty far into the game. And I think that makes sense. You don't want to have content for the beginning of the game when maybe you're with a character near the end of the game. And, so I think
a great point.
If you think about it, they probably did it the best way. Especially if you've beaten the game, you can get onto New Game Plus and kind of quickly get back to where you want to then do the DLC. So, like I'm thinking with Bloodborne, I have a New Game Plus character, and I at the end of the game, and then I also have a new game character in the middle of the game. So I have some options when the DLC comes out.
That's good.
So yeah, I think that'll work. Yeah. So if we're with that, yeah, let's move on to how you access the DLC, since we're touching on it anyway. So this is crazy because I want to know. I don't think it's ever known. I don't think we will ever know. Anyone will ever be honest that said otherwise. Has anyone been able to access the DLC without having to look up anything?
Yeah, see, that's a great question, and I would like to know the answer. I don't know. Everything I've ever seen online, I mean, I guess I haven't researched it that much. I certainly didn't know how to access the DLC when it was announced and when it came out. There, like, the IGN is a website that I usually go to for video game stuff, and I know some people hate IGN and whatever. I think it's all right.
Yeah.
But IGN and GameSpot are usually what I go to.
Yeah.
And they I remember they had articles like how to access the Dark Souls DLC and like talking about how crazy it was. So I didn't want to miss anything. I was like, I'm just jumping right in. I'm reading this article. I didn't spoil any of the DLC for myself, but I was like, I need to figure out how to do this. As far as people actually figuring out, like, totally blind how to do it, I'm sure people probably have. I mean, but I don't know. I've never seen anyone that said that. And again, I haven't looked too deeply into it, but I mean, I'm sure people have. People beat this game with voice commands.
They find crazy stuff and they can come up with crazy lore, And so basically how to access it, I would say in a nutshell, but you kind of have to explain things. If you decide to, and I never did this when I first played on 360, you can kill that Hydra. Not the Ash Lake Hydra, but the Hydra by the Crystal Golems. And once you kill it, behind it is a Crystal Golem, but I don't even think it's there without the DLC. Like the Crystal Golem behind it that has a girl inside, who is Ulasil.
I think it is.
Oh, it's in... Anyway, does she come out of it anyway?
Yeah, I think before the DLC you can still rescue her because you can like buy spells from her and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
But the golem they added in the Duke's Archive was not there originally.
Okay, because here's the thing. That golem is there, but maybe it just doesn't drop the broken pendant or whatever. Because I remember Duke's Archive was a very hard area for me. Okay. And so I remember that one kind of being there. It's to the right, just kind of looking off to the side or whatever. It doesn't really get aggressive, but I didn't understand what to do. It was just very confusing. Anyway, I get it done. You have to go to Duke's Archives and go back to that area, but behind the Hydra, I don't know, but but anyway, once that's all done, then a portal opens up. You get some broken pendant. Yep. There's a portal there that grabs you and pulls you in. I gotta say, even with how crazy it is to figure out what to do, it's still on the surface doesn't make sense to go to Duke's Archives. What's interesting lore-wise is that there's crystal golems everywhere. But we'll get into lore here in a second. Anything else you wanted to mention about that?
I don't think I have anything to mention about that. I meant to mention when we were just talking about just generally our thoughts of it. I was looking at an old GameSpot forum thread from I think July 2011. It was about the Dark Souls not having DLC. So before Dark Souls was even released. This might have been about the Gamescom thing when they said it's not going to have DLC. And it was just a forum about that. And every single person in the forum was like, I'm glad this game is not going to have DLC. It doesn't need DLC. There's no need to milk it like so many other franchises do and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's funny that it was every single person. So I think it's funny that they had that opinion. And I'm sure every single one of them bought it and played it, and I assume loved it. So it's just funny how that comes out.
Well, yeah, because there's two parts to that. It's that people are complaining about it, yet when it came out, it is exactly what we would want at a DLC. I think $15 is very fair for what was given to us. 4 bosses.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, then
Yeah,
let's get
four
into
bosses,
that.
a couple big areas.
Let's get into what the DLC actually gave us. So let's talk about the area design. I forget, it's like maybe 4 areas, 3 or 4 areas. So
I think so.
You start off
pretty big areas.
Yeah, you're in the sanctuary garden or whatever, and it's cool because immediately you fight a boss. You fight a boss that pretty much tells you, like, this isn't gonna be easy. You know what I mean? Like,
no, the DLC is not fucking around. It's hard.
Right. So and you fight a boss right there. Now, beside the boss, we'll get to that. The area looked really cool. I mean, it was like another foresty area, but it was a brighter foresty area. The sanctuary.
Yeah, it was.
And then right after that, you get into the, what is it called? It's right before. There's the Ulasil Township.
Yeah,
but there's another Ulasil
Royal Woods
area. Well, there's that area where you talk to the giant mushroom.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that seems like a little town. It's like a Firelink shrine, I guess, just with those characters.
I like that area. That's a cool area.
Yeah. And then, you get into the Royal Woods, which I think they did a good job with that. It was kind of like a maze in a way. But here's another thing. It was still dark in the sense of just, like, the feel, the atmosphere. But it was brighter. Yeah. It's kind of like there was development time in between where they kind of could add a little more detail. I don't know, just being in it felt more lively, but still had the dark atmosphere. Had tough enemies. Had... you actually encounter Calamite on a bridge there, and you actually can damage Calamite, apparently, or even cut off its tail.
At that part, really?
Yeah, from what I was reading. If you know what you're doing, if you plan for it, you can cut off the tail, which gives you a weapon. Anyway, you get into that, and then it's like you get into a whole new area. Is this where... No. You get to where you fight Artorias. Which also that area has what looks like PvP areas.
Yeah, it does. I remember. I barely touched it, but they did a. It was like a specific PvP like dueling arenas, and there was like 1 or 2 of them where you could go in, and you would like get summoned into this totally new area, and then another person would get summoned in, and then it was just a one-on-one fight to the death, and then I think it was just like how many kills in a row you could get or something.
Yeah.
I barely did it, but it was a cool inclusion because they knew that people love the PvP, and it's the closest thing that you're probably ever going to get to like a dedicated like arena battle kind of thing. Yeah. Which I think they had a Covenant in Dark Souls 2, which was basically the same thing as well. But it was cool that they added it in that game.
Yeah, in Dark Souls 2, it's at that boss that's on the horse in the carriage or whatever. Like after that, there's
it's right after him.
Area, where you can do that. So I think that's cool they added that in.
The blood something or other.
Well, then after that, you go into I think that's the Ulasil Township, where it's like a bunch of buildings, and it kind of like it goes down narrow pathways, crazy mutated. I think it's bloated head enemies.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of a hard part, and it's scary. It's dark. You kind of get further down in there, and you're now like in the building, and there's even more of these. There's even I always call anything that shoots spells magicians, and I feel so stupid. I'm like, now I got to fight this magician. Like when I'm playing Demon Souls, if you watch my Let's Play, I'm the Tower of Latria or whatever it's called, and I'm fighting those squid guys. I'm calling them magicians. I'm like, oh, the magicians are after me. It just sounds it sounds like I'm a 7-year-old explaining what's fighting me.
That game has those magicians though. Those big fat guys that shoot the spells at you. I don't know if they're actually magicians, but they look like them. They have like the painted faces, and they have the top hats or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's a little more That's a little more acceptable, I guess.
But so you go through all that. There's a shortcut, and I love it because it does the shortcuts perfectly. It's like they kind of went back to Demon Souls a little bit with the shortcut that goes on the elevator. Anyway, you head down there, and then this is where you go into a scary area, which is the Abyss.
Oh, yeah.
And then I see those humanity things, Like, that's scary.
Yeah, that was weird, huh? That was weird.
Yeah.
Very bizarre, like, the first time you see him.
I'm like, just as I'm walking through, I'm like, shit, I'm going to have to be down in this soon. But you kind of don't. It's not that big of an area, really. It kind of...
No, it really isn't.
Yeah, there's those... You fight some of those bloated guys, which kind of get in your way, but you can kind of navigate through there. And apparently there's a secret there where you can... I think you explained this to me, or I read about it. There's a secret where you can come across Sif.
Yeah.
Yeah, because apparently, and we'll get into this in a little bit, it's like you're back in time, apparently, in this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, you go through the abyss, you fight Manus, you get out of there, and that's kind of it, but there's not too far from there, from outside near where you fought Artorias, there is the path that leads to Calamite.
Yeah.
They have a couple NPCs. There's a guy right outside that Artorias area on the bridge that sells some things. There's also a giant that you have to get a key, which I actually had to look this up. When I went down to fight Calamite, and
oh yeah,
I think he pretty much killed me, and then I didn't realize to like do a specific jump down in the township to get the key, so then I can go to the giant and talk to him so he can shoot down Calamite.
Yeah, he shoots him down. Apparently you can kill Calamite without having him shoot him down.
Wow.
I'm sure it's very, very hard, because doesn't he just fly over and basically just shoot fire down and just douse you in flames or whatever?
And what's funny is it's not even fire, it's actually magic with physical. Dark magic with physical.
Yeah, because it's kind of like, is it like greenish or yellow or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, so like, the physical attack, oh man, yeah, that was hard. But anyway, anything about, the areas you wanted to touch on?
I thought that first area, the Royal Woods, was pretty hard.
Yeah.
It has a lot of those like townfolk enemies. I remember they had like pitchforks and stuff like that. They weren't too hard, but there was the bigger stone guys, I think, and they were pretty difficult.
Yeah.
In general, I did like that area. It was big. It was kind of confusing. There was a lot of different paths to go. Mm-hmm. It was very similar to the Darkroot Garden, but like you said, it looked different. I think it had more of an eerie look, which was cool. And the Ulasil Township was probably my favorite of the few new areas. Mm-hmm. It was pretty unique for the game. It was just, it was really cool looking. It was more bright. If I remember correctly, again, I haven't played it since 2012. There's a lot of like either crumbling buildings or buildings that are kind of like slanted downwards, like they're gonna fall into an abyss or something. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And the chasm of the abyss, the end part is basically like the same area you fight the four kings in. It's very dark and sparse. It's foreboding. It's pretty cool though, and I remember that being pretty difficult for me to get through. And those big humanity enemies were very, I would say, very bizarre. And like you're not expecting something like that the first time you go through. So you're like, whoa, that's I'm fighting humanity, big giant humanity.
Yeah, no, that was definitely scary. It's a very scary area.
Yeah, it was.
But like I said, I think I was just in the moment with Souls, and I went through that area on my first try. It was just the bosses that took a while.
Yeah, the bosses.
Well, okay. Well, let's talk about the bosses, okay? Because
let's do it.
I really think, even though I think the areas were incredible compared to, Dark Souls areas are great, but the areas in the DLC did not let you down. It just
not
kept
at all.
Turning it up, but the bosses did even more. Okay, first boss, Sanctuary Garden Demon. I don't know what it's called. It's like a sanctuary something.
I think it's a Sanctuary Guardian, I believe.
Okay, it was a lion with wings and like a spike tail or something. I forget exactly.
I'm pretty sure.
The spike tail had poison damage. I just remember when I first got into that area, which is awesome. They start the DLC off with this. It killed me. I think it was actually the second or third time I did beat it. You just kind of realize, as fast as it is, you can kind of get down the moves pretty quick of what to avoid. I think it was a cool design because it was very, I don't want to use bright as the word, but it was just in a setting where you can see it and all the detail. It had a lot of details because it was like a mix of different. It wasn't like how the gaping dragon, it looks cool, but that's something completely made up. This guardian beast, I forget what it's called. Anyway, sanctuary guardian. It had like recognizable things, but mixed in detail to it. You got a spiked tail, you got wings, you got like a lion body. It just the way this creature was, it was something new in Souls, and how fast it was, you know? It's still a monster, but it wasn't like a creepy alien monster.
It reminded me of like a Greek mythological beast, kind of. Yeah. Like something out of Greek mythology is what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was cool. I had a hell of a time fighting him when I first got in, and I think it's great that they immediately start you off with a boss like, oh, you just paid $15 for this DLC. Well, hopefully you can beat this boss, because otherwise you wasted your money.
Yeah.
He's the easiest of the four, but I still had a pretty tough time with him. It took me, a lot of tries to finally beat him. But when I did, it felt great. And once you really get his pattern down, he's not too bad. But cool looking, fun to fight. And you're right, the area is like pretty bright, and he's like, white, so it's like, you see everything.
Yeah.
And it's just fun.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. And so after that, you go through, the Royal Woods, which kind of takes some time. So there's not another boss right away, but it's still another boss quicker than what happens in, the base game. It's Artorias. Now, he's like the main focus of, in a way, he's the main focus of this DLC. He's mentioned in the base game, So it's kind of interesting. Yes. If they didn't plan on DLC, it's interesting that they were able to create, a boss that has a lot to him. So this boss was a humanoid boss that was very fast, and his moves could totally destroy you. The thing was, it took me about, I don't remember how many times. It didn't take me too many times. It was, I just quickly realized that he does when he jumps in the air and slams down, that takes off the most damage, and just really get away from that. And he would sometimes do it a second time, or sometimes not. So there's a little bit of patience there when it came to attacking him. That was it. It was. I'll have to upload the. I recorded all my boss battles with the DLC guys, so I'll have to upload.
Oh, great! Yeah, I definitely want to see those.
Yeah. Anything you want to say about him?
He was. I found him to be extraordinarily tough for me. He's really fast. He's just a knight, a big, tall, lanky knight, and he's got a sword. So he's pretty simple. But he has a lot of different attacks. I remember his thrust forward, I always had a very hard time dodging. But he jumps in the air, that attack you talked about, he does that sometimes once, sometimes twice. I feel like he does it like 3 or 4 times in a row, so it's like it can be random. So I had to just like roll dodge everything. Yeah. Because I found that my shield just, the stamina was gone after like 2 hits, and then I was toast. Right. I didn't end up beating him myself. I had to summon help because I probably tried him 20 times before I summoned help. And that's another reason I want to play through this DLC again, because him and Manus I both had to summon help for, and I really want to go through and play him and beat him solo. And so Artorias was really cool. His cool lore. He looks pretty cool. Yeah. And I thought he was really hard. Yeah. No, and he was hard too. I mean, he's still harder than a lot of the bosses in the base game. So after that, yeah, definitely. The last, mandatory is the word. The last non-optional boss is Manus, Father of the Abyss. Very scary going through the Abyss in the first place, but then having to fight this guy, you drop down just like the Four Kings into a dark area, although you can kind of see the rocks around it. So immediately when I see this boss, I think Bloodborne for a bunch of reasons. He would fit right at home in Bloodborne, I think. Yeah, first it had a really cool demonic look to it, and even more than just demonic, it had just a monster feel, not necessarily demonic, but more monster. Also, the graphics, the effects they used for its hairs, its locks of hairs, just like the cleric beast
I think they were using the same design there, because that's my first thought. Was like, wow, it has the flowing, like, Dark Beast Parl and Cleric Beast, kind of just how it does that. But not just the looks, but then how it plays. It is so fast, and it hits you with all these attacks that are repeated. He does this thing where he does kind of like this charge with he puts his chest out and his arms out like he's angry, and then he just swipes his hand, and if you get caught, he slams you in the air, slams you down, swipes, slams you down. It's reminded me just like Bloodborne, because in Bloodborne you get caught in one of those attacks and you're stuck. And you had to be quick. What's interesting is I started playing where I would make sure I have a light load. I would have Havel's Ring on, but I would be able to fast roll, okay?
Yeah.
I still couldn't beat him with my fast roll. I was dying too quickly. I couldn't recover fast enough. It's interesting what I did, considering how fast the boss... how quick the boss's moves were. I ended up... I always had the ring on that breaks if you take it off, that gives you, like, a boost and everything.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But my other ring couldn't be Havel's Ring, so I put on the Ring of Steel Protection, or whatever it's called. That
okay.
It just helps with physical attacks, okay? So when you get hit, it doesn't hurt you as much. And because of that, I couldn't fast roll. I was mid-rolling. But because by then I kind of... And this took me... It might have took me 2 or 3 days, but... a multiple, like, sitting down and multiple tries, I would usually do it, like, 5 tries and then stop. And then sit down later, 5 tries, and then stop.
Okay.
So, I finally did it where it was mid-roll, 2-handed, so no shield. Or did I do a shield? I want to say... I think I was lucky, because sometimes he just won't do a certain attack. He was doing a lot of the attacks, if I remember correctly, where he was shooting magic down to the ground, not where it goes at you, but on the ground. That kind of opens him up for attacks. It was really all about luck then, and so I beat him, and I had that rush that I first felt in Bloodborne, where I just feel this warmth rush up the back of my neck to my head, because I just did it. Boss totally did it for me, and I remember before I got to him, we were texting, and I was like, man, I got Artorias, and you're like, just wait till you get to the next boss. The hardest one in the game.
Yeah, I really think he's... for me, at least for me, I had even a tougher time with Artorias. If I had stuck with Artorias, I could have beaten myself. Manus was a different story. I think Manus is maybe, if I had to create a list of, like, hardest bosses, potential podcast idea maybe, I don't know. He would be, I don't know, he'd be in the top 5. I'd have to replay it again to make sure I still feel that way, but he'd probably be in, like, the top 5. I also think he's the coolest looking in the whole DLC, and one of the coolest looking bosses in Dark Souls in general. Yeah. For a lot of the things you said, he's like a big giant monster beast kind of thing. He used to be a human, but he's, like, deformed by all the darkness that, that captured him, or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I had to summon help for him. The same with Artorias, because he was too fast for me. I don't think, besides Gwyn, I don't think there's any Dark Souls bosses that are that fast. Like you said, even this was way before Bloodborne came out, obviously, but that's like Bloodborne fast. So like he has those combos where he slams his hand down, and he has like 5 or 6 hit combos that they go by in a flash, and if you get caught in them, you are screwed. So you need to be on your rolling game pretty good. So I don't remember how I beat him, but I summoned somebody and we just ganged up on him, and
nice.
You know how summoning people in for 90% of the bosses, it makes them almost trivial. So that's how I did it. Whenever I get a PS3, I do plan on playing through Dark Souls again, and I'm going to play through the DLC. I've really been wanting to play Dark Souls. You've been playing it. You told me about the Twitch Plays Dark Souls thing, which I watched a little bit. They're still in the Undead Asylum, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I've just really been just wanting to play it. So we'll be going through that at some point.
Okay, and so after Manus, I was like, okay, here's a path I haven't gone down before. Calameet's probably down there. head down there, some dogs are attacking me, whatever. Go down a ladder, and Calamite just destroys me. But it doesn't do like, okay, boss battle music, health gauge. I don't think so. Maybe it does. I don't know.
I honestly don't even remember.
I just remember going down there and being like, okay, what, is this dragon going to land? And just destroys me with its magic breath. So,
yeah.
I didn't know what I was supposed to do, so I looked online just real quick, and it said, have so-and-so shoot him down. Go or something. I don't know what his name was. And
yeah,
I was like, okay, who's this guy? So I'm like looking around for him, can't find him anywhere. So I read that, he's in that door. Because when I look up stuff, I try to do it steps at a time, So I'm like, that door. I'm like, I can't get in the door. I need a key. And I'm like, well, where's the key? And then they explain an area that I remember I saw, but I never got to and forgot about it, was when you're going down, fighting all those bloated head townspeople at the bottom. There's a ledge. You have to, do a crazy jump without hurting yourself if you miss to get... I believe that's how it was. Yeah, to get this treasure chest. Was it a mimic, or was it just a regular chest? For some reason, mimic popped up.
Boy, I do not remember.
And I just played this. But you get the key. You go to talk to the dude. We were talking about this earlier. He shoots Calamite down. And I guess Calamite's like the last dragon, even though you fight a dragon on the bridge at the beginning of the game. Which, I guess it's something.
Yeah, I've heard that that's not an actual dragon. It's like a wyvern or something like that, which is like a dragon offshoot. I don't know if that's the official word, but that's what I read on on forums and all that garbage.
Well then,
something like that.
So then I get down there where you actually have to fight. I love how it works too, because you go down the ladder, and as you're walking around the mountainside, you just see Calamite just kind of come at you from around the mountainside. And this boss took me longer than Manus. Okay? And I don't know why. Okay, I think I do know why. So, difference with Manus is he had most of his attacks, I figured out how to get by. I just tried not to get caught in them. With Calamite had these attacks that they weren't combos attacks, but Calamite did one attack after another pretty quickly. There were some attacks that, the next animation was just the other attack that took off a whole lot. I ended up... What did I end up doing for Calamite? I think I got out of my fast roll. Or no, I had to be fast roll. I forget what I did for Calamite. I remember I went back and forth a whole lot, and then I finally beat... I think I was wearing more armor, and I think I had the ring of steel protection back on instead of Havel's. I think it was a matter of me having more health, so when I got hit, it didn't take off as much, because I was going to get hit no matter what. But I was also using the mushroom item, which I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Oh, okay.
Where it's
I've used it.
Yeah, when you use the item, you're constantly gaining health for a period of time, which is helpful.
Yep.
So when Calamite would do the attack where I was dumb enough to get myself lifted up and then slowly have all my energy taken away, or I was being hit, I think what helped was realizing when I'm underneath Calamite in the hind legs that after a couple hits I should roll away, because he or she will slam its back end down. Once I did that, I still think I was lucky with the move set that instance Calamite had for me. I still think that's a hard boss, and I almost wish these games had boss rush mode so I could go and perfect the boss attack. The boss. But I think that might be part of Souls. I don't know. But anyway, what do you think of... I know your usernames you use is Calamite.
Yeah, my Instagram name... When I first signed up for Instagram back in probably December of 2012, right after my daughter was born, I was trying to think of a username. My Nosferatu that I normally use, I think, was taken. So I was thinking, and then I just decided on Calamite because he was my favorite boss from the DLC. Not my favorite boss in any Souls game, but I think he looks cool. He's a big giant dragon, but he's got the one red eye, and he looks cool.
Totally.
It's a really fun fight. And I thought just after having to summon for help to beat Artorias and Manus, I beat Calamite by myself, and it just felt great to beat that really tough battle by myself. To do it solo. So I was like, I'll go Calamite. It's a cool name. Not everyone's gonna get it. It's the Souls fans will probably get it, but it's a cool sounding name. So I feel like I have this special bond with the Black Dragon Calamite. As far as my fight against them, I know it took me a very long time. But I beat him myself. I don't remember everything I did necessarily. At that point, I was still using a shield and I was still rolling, so it was just a matter of learning his attacks and just rolling out of the way. Because I know he has some attacks where he like flies up and shoots down a huge pool of area, like magic fire.
You have to
very
quickly
wide.
Get away.
Yeah. So again, that's another kind of a fight where you have to be pretty fast. The boss is kind of fast. This DLC overall, these bosses are pretty damn fast.
Yeah, and you know what? In the end, too, like you said earlier, these 4 bosses would be in the top bosses of the Dark Souls games. Dark Souls.
Yeah, I agree.
Like how, like they were just that fun, that interesting. Like you really had to learn the boss. It wasn't just a boss where you just kind of went in and slaughtered it. You had to learn the boss, and I like that aspect, learning the boss. So, all right. So last here, I want to talk about lore because as for me, especially as I'm playing these Souls games, I don't really get the lore. I don't understand what's happening. I didn't know what was going on when I got pulled into this portal, but what was interesting is I've been following Epic Name Bro's latest videos on YouTube. He's doing, I forget what it's called. But he's going through Dark Souls again. And he killed the Hydra, and he was back in that area. He wasn't doing it yet, because he's not that far, but he was actually explaining it. Apparently, going through the portal, you're actually going through a different time period. And then when you were telling me, like, when you fight Manus, you jump down to an abyss like you fight the 4 kings, is that really the same area? Maybe just a different time?
I don't know if it's exactly the same area, but it's the same... It's, like, made from the same stuff, I guess. Like, the abyss that you fight the 4 kings in is the same kind of area as the chasm of the abyss that you fight Manus in. Like, I mean, I guess maybe it could be the same area, but I don't know if it is. But it's like a very similar area where it's like the exact same, whatever this abyss is. It's in the New Londo ruins, and then it's also in the Ulasil township.
Yeah. What's cool is too, like we were saying, how you kind of like go back in time, and if you think about it, and unless I'm mistaken, you don't ever fight any undead. Because this is, I guess, a time before that whole thing happened. You're actually fighting people that turn into monsters, which is what happened to Artorias.
Like, there's those there's those like whatever you want to call them, townfolk people that have the pitchforks. There's the stone guys in the forest. And there's those bloated head guys, the humanities, and maybe like a few other things. So I guess that's true. I never really thought about that.
Yeah, and what's interesting to think, too, is also you're, like, friends with the mushroom, and they become enemies in the main game. Like, there's something up with that. So, you had something cool, though, about the lore that you were explaining to me.
Yeah, like you, when I first played through Dark Souls, and then when I played through the DLC, I didn't really know what the lore was. I didn't learn it until afterwards, as I've talked about before. But the basic lore is Artorias went to Ulasil to try to stop the spread of the darkness, which he didn't do. He got corrupted by it, which is why you have to fight him. But his Sith, the great gray wolf that you have to fight in the main game, Sith was his ally. So you go back in time, and you're in Royal Woods, Ulasil, all that stuff. At the end, when you get to the chasm, the abyss, whatever it is, you can find Sif behind a couple like invisible walls, and you have to like rescue him. He's like surrounded by the big humanities. And I just read up on this again today to get a refresher because I haven't played it in so long. So you rescue him from those humanities, and then he is available to be summoned for the Manus battle. So when you drop down into the Manus battle, Sif's summon symbol is like right there, so you can summon him. And he's not huge; he's like the size of a normal wolf, I believe. So he can help you fight. He is not helpful at all. He's actually horrible for that battle. I summoned a regular actual person to help me with that battle. I did try Sif a number of times, but he just, he's good to maybe distract him, but he's horrible. Anyway, it's cool enough that you can like fight with him and save him, and he was there. I believe the lore is Artorias in his last bit of like humanity, he like put his shield over Sif to save him, so Sif wouldn't get corrupted by the darkness. So if you go to the DLC before you fight Sif in the main game, and you go through and beat the DLC, and you rescue Sif in the DLC, when you go to fight him finally, the cutscene is extended by like a few seconds, and he like acknowledges the fact that he knows you, and it's really cool. It's a really, really cool thing they added. It's very subtle, but it's probably my favorite bit of like lore that maybe has ever been in the Souls game. I think it's just so cool.
Yeah, when I heard that blew me away. I really think...
No, I did too. I was blown away by it, and I didn't know about it until I read online. So I was like, man, this is cool. I have to try it. So I tried it. I got the different cutscene with Sif, and you still have to fight Sif. There's no way to not fight Sif, but it's just really, really cool. So that's what I like about that lore. Otherwise, the lore is great anyway, because Artorias tries to go stop the darkness, but he can't, and that's why you have to fight him, because he's like, evil. And Manus, which is interesting, it kind of plays a part in Dark Souls 2. Apparently, Nashandra, who's the final boss of Dark Souls 2, is a piece of Manus. And in the first Dark Souls 2 DLC, the Crown of the Sunken King, where you go to the Shova, the sunken city, the first boss you fight, Elena, the Squalid Queen, I think her name is also a piece of Manus.
Wow.
So Manus is like this very powerful entity that I think when you kill him, his pieces have spread out, and some of the bosses you fight in Dark Souls 2 are, pieces of that darkness that have transformed into new creatures because, it's so powerful. It's something like that. So it's really cool how they took that bit from that DLC and, incorporated it into the next game.
Yeah.
And who knows what it will be in Dark Souls 3, if it's even there at all. But it's very, very cool. Probably the DLC is probably the best bit of lore, I think, in the whole series.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that was just awesome. That so the lore is great. The DLC in general is just awesome. Again, $15 if you don't have it on PC. If you have it on PC, you have it, So it's, I haven't beaten all the DLC in Dark Souls 2, but so far what I've played is awesome, and that's probably what I'll want to try to do after Demon Souls is to complete it. But so far, Dark Souls came out with great DLC. It rivals what other games do in general, especially how it ties into the Sith thing. That's just not just some throwaway DLC. Like, I remember Shadow of Mordor had some DLC where you had some like extra abilities and extra things you could do, but it was like sectioned off to its own game. It wasn't even for the main game, and you can't do that. But yeah, the way they handled it, you gotta say good job on both developers and the publisher, because I'm sure it took some time to like incorporate it into the base game. And
oh yeah, sure.
And yeah, they really pulled it off. So, all right, that's it. Anything else you want to bring up about the DLC?
I love the DLC, and going on what you were just saying, FromSoft, they take great care in making the DLC and making it, something that's fun to play, and it's not just like a tacked on crappy DLC that you don't want to play. It ties into the story, it ties into lore. There's new weapons to find, new armor, new spells, all that kind of stuff. The Dark Souls 2 DLC is the same. It's very, very well made. It's very fun. It's very challenging. Hold on. Can you turn that down a tiny bit? I'm talking so loud because the TV's so loud. Wife listens to the TV very loudly. I have to talk loud. Alright. So I really like what they did with the DLC. It's they think they did a great job, and it makes me very hopeful for whatever the Bloodborne DLC is, whenever they're going to announce it, whenever it's going to come out. I'm sure it will be up to the standard of this and then the Dark Souls 2 DLC.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say about the DLC. I have something else I wanted to mention that doesn't have to do with DLC necessarily. And this is not something I normally do, but I want to give a shout out to a buddy I have on Instagram who goes by Weeba. Yeah, who goes by Weeba, who I've mentioned a couple times. He and another guy on Instagram, who I don't really know too well, his Instagram handle is KTHNJ. They're starting a Dark Souls 2, they're starting a series of videos on Dark Souls 2, playing through them together. It's called it's called Nude Dudes, and they're playing through as two, as naked as you can get guys. It's just the loincloth and silly haircuts.
Yeah.
They just released the first video today, and it's not a straight let's play. They have they edit it where they put in some other clips from other things, and
yeah, it's kind of like watching it
overall,
because I watched some of it, so it's like watching it as if it was a series, like a TV show series, but just the story is going through Dark Souls, and then they just have jokes along the way, and they're good guys, especially Weeba. Weeba's a guy I've been talking to on Instagram for a while. I've mentioned him a few times on here. He's a good guy, so any Souls fans that want to see something that's Dark Souls related, that relates to our podcast, and is also funny, check it out. Search for Weeba.
The Weeba.
Yeah. It's W-E-B-A-H.
on YouTube. Yes, it is. And that's all I have to say about that, but I wanted to give him a quick plug, and
that was
plugging other people. Yeah, plugging other people is not something I'm going to normally do, but
it depends. If
I
it's
like
awesome,
lot, so.
if it's awesome, yeah, we'll do it. Someone we know, yeah, because we'd like people to plug us. Let's be honest.
Exactly. And he has on his Instagram before, and he would, because I know he's an avid listener of the Soulscast. So totally. That's all I got on that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. Guys, thanks for listening to this episode. Let us know what you think about the DLC. Leave it in the comments, whether on YouTube, SoundCloud, the blog, wherever. Let us know what you think about the DLC.
Yep.
And we will talk to you guys next time.
Bye-bye.